Well, welcome on the news review belt of the show. It's another morning and quite a number of papers we have here, quite a number of stories we're getting into. Mamavi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ben. I have to say that if you're just leaving home and Apenkwa is usually your stretch. Apenkwa is the road, you know, the main Tesano road just in front of Papaya, the traffic light there. There's been a gory accident and it's causing heavy vehicular traffic on that stretch. So you've got to be patient. If you're yet to leave home, you might encounter some traffic. We know that the police trying to pull the track, and I think there was one vehicle that I saw, a trotro vehicle, but I understand that there are also 2 motorbikes involved and some persons may have died in this accident. So it's a very serious one. You have to be patient if you're just leaving home. Traffic may be on your road.
You might want to use an alternative route, if any. And we don't even know the full, figures when it comes to how many people were involved, how many cars or, vehicles were involved. So we'll bring you more of those details as the day flows on. But again, it's a caution to all of us to arrive alive. Drive cautiously. And that is some footage right there.
Yeah. This is the accident, and I thought this was overnight. Apparently, this happened between 4 and 4:30 a.m. just this morning. This truck loaded with cement or maybe sacks of something was actually stationed.
And this will make the impact even worse for that first trotro vehicle because of how compact this truck is. So you slam into it, and it's full force.
Yeah. I just sense that something may have happened from way before you get to this particular point, because there was very slow traffic from the Achimota overpass. And then I got to this place and, oh gosh. So see the impact, just the front of the trotro is totally gone.
And we hear the driver didn't make it.
Yeah.
The driver of the trotro vehicle. I mean, we'll get more of these details, but you look at the impacts there, and it's obvious that this is not looking good at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, we thank God for our lives, and we pray that we will all be responsible enough so we can keep each other safe on our roads.
But Mama V, it's just becoming. How many times? I mean, I'm lost for words. How many times have we experienced such in recent days, weeks? We're talking about the 28th from Easter, so between Good Friday and Easter Monday, 28 of them. This year already, the numbers have been horrifyingly high. I don't know what is going on. We've heard the bit about our roads. Recently, we were told that, in fact, yesterday there was a rejoinder from the Ghana Highways Authority talking about the dynamics and how it may not necessarily be 70% of our roads that are bad, feeder roads, this and that. But the point to be made is that partly it is owing to bad roads, partly it is owing to bad maintenance, but a lot of the time too, it is owing to irresponsible, reckless driving. And I don't know, but just we don't even know. You're mentioning the motorbikes, the motorcycles and the others in there, but you can't even imagine how many people would have been in that trotro who have lost their lives. Now we're hearing the driver himself may not have made it. Let's really take care. On the back of Christ, you don't want to leave home, and you never come back.
Yeah. It's really sad, actually. Very sad. And then sometimes we
really
also have to be patient.
In my mouth this morning. I mean, looking at it, it's just terrible.
I was just running a bit late, and I was in this slow-moving traffic, and I was wondering, should I move out and go somewhere else? But I think I was chill somehow. Even though I contemplated moving out of the lane, I thought this is rather unusual. Maybe something is ahead of me, so just chill and keep going. Yeah.
So maybe you had some premonition, and you remember what I told you yesterday about my near accident bit. Sometimes you just get that pause. But something else I see, and just because you've mentioned this, I see that could be problematic. Before 6 o'clock, usually before 6, some traffic lights are not in operation, so they are amber till at around 6, then it starts, working. That is another recipe for trouble. You know why? Because the motorists, because they see it that way, everyone is trying
They're
to
speeding
at an
from
intersection,
behind, even before they get to the traffic light.
and they are not going to wait for anybody who is now. That is also a recipe for, you know, accidents. I see it all the time, and everybody is trying to get through. It creates a mess. All those things, and no one is patient. No one wants to see the position for the other person to pass before they go. I don't get it.
The question with this particular incident, though, because this happened, this is just before the traffic lights. So we have to ask questions about whether or not there were enough warning signs to tell any driver coming from behind that there was a station vehicle, an unmoving vehicle, there was a problem vehicle ahead of them, so that they could be careful. And we have to ask the police.
That's another serious bit. A lot of them don't have the triangles. In fact, you would notice that they use branches sometimes. So until they get some branches from some tree to put there, you will not even know. And the tendency, I've seen these on the Tema motorway. I've seen them all over the place. They break down, and they are practically in the middle of the road. You can't tell that they've broken down. So if you're speeding, imagine the Tema motorway, and a vehicle blocked there, and everybody is speeding. You know, even on that motorway, you have to go at a certain, you know, speed, because you can't go slow. So you're doing that, and you know, there's a vehicle like this, no warning triangle, nothing. If you're not careful, you do exactly what happened here.
There's also no street lights, and this is so obvious if you look at the video again. If you get an opportunity to see the video again, you see that the place is totally dark. And it's on, you know, that entire stretch. That's also one of the things that we have to be looking at. But we would bring you stories from the newspapers now. See, look at the place. Street lights totally out. And it can take you all the way to Ofankor. Street lights not working. And so everybody driving is using a high. And yesterday, in my interaction with the drivers, they were talking about people having all sorts of lights now. And imagine that all the lights are on because everybody claims that they can't see. Place is dark.
Right.
And we're all going like
Especially with people who are, you know, who use glasses like we do. When the light falls on your eyes, sometimes that itself is a cause for accidents.
Well, I've got the Daily Graphic newspaper, Republic Press, Accra Times, the Daily Statesman, and the Ghanaian Publisher. These are the papers that I'll be looking through this morning.
I'll take you through the Ghanaian Times newspaper, the Daily Guide, the Daily Dispatch, the Finder, and the Custodian newspaper. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times, and it says, sanitation pollution levy will help landfill site management. You've been complaining about your rubbish not being picked. Has it been taken out?
So mine has, but there are portions, the same community, within the same community, and some neighbors are still complaining. I actually saw people's refuse overflowing in front of their houses. So the job hasn't been completed. Okay, and then that is Nielanti van der Poy speaking there, and he's applauding the imposition of the sanitation or pollution levy. Achimota School, Rastafarian saga, court denies interlocutory injunction. We'll be telling you a bit more about that. I think yesterday I saw a tweet by Tyrone Magai, and it's interesting the sort of following he has got since all of this started, and that was even before the case started being heard. He was hoping for the best. Queen Mother returns home to rousing welcome, and there's 1D1F creates 139,000 jobs with 76 companies operating under the initiative. I'll be bringing you details of those stories. And we also have the GJA opening nominations yesterday for members who are interested in contesting in the 2021 national elections. On the back page, the Ghanaian Times, Green Ghana project to plant 5 million trees June 11. There's a lot that has been said about planting trees. Let's see how this initiative works out. And then work on 97.6 kilometer Tema Mpakadan Railway, 80% complete. That's it with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. This is what's on the front page of the paper today. $80 million steel plant opens, biggest in West Africa, create 2,000 jobs. This was carried live here on JoyNews yesterday. President Akufo-Addo being briefed, and this is a description of what you see on the front page of the paper in a little bit on your screen. There you have it. So he's been briefed on the processes of the company by Mr. Mahesh Takwani, CEO B5 Plus Steel Company near Pram. And there's Alan Chamating, the trade minister, with them as well. This is the man that I interviewed not too long ago He's supplying free oxygen to over 50 hospitals, including the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Yeah, but you know, we injected some money into his business. He benefited from the one district, one factory, and so he's expanding a much bigger factory now. Dialogue on illegal mining opens today. Hayford wins first Kia Pegasus in graphic at 70 promo. Will I ever win one of those things? Like free vehicle, free something, free something? In the center spread of it? Yeah, of course, I do.
Free vehicle.
Especially when it's a car. Center spread, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is to launch a program to make smallholder farming in the country competitive to meet market demand and also increase rural income. Ambassadors, High Commissioners designate sharpen skills. We're told is a 2-day orientation for 35 ambassadors and High Commissioners designates by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration to sharpen the skills of the diplomats for the task ahead. Has ended in Accra. We will collaborate with private sector to deliver affordable housing. That's the Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asen-Sobwache, who said that the vision of the government for the sector is to use an appropriate mix of public and private sector investment to deliver quality, safe and affordable housing solutions to meet the needs of the people. On the back page, the Tema Mpakadan Railway project is progressing steadily. Ben touched on it. There was similar story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Immigration Service on high alert. They've triggered a high alert surveillance at the country's borders following the massive jailbreak in Nigeria, where 1,800 people escaped from prison last week. So they've urged Ghanaians living in the country's communities of the country's land borders to be vigilant and cautious about their interactions with foreigners. Mind you, we already have porous borders. You're going to say something?
Yes, I was about to say that about 100 or so of them had actually turned themselves in again. You know, there was an amnesty for those who would, just turn themselves in. But if you were caught, then you would start your jail term all over again. So a number of them peacefully said, okay, we're back, it's okay. But there are so many of them who are still at large. Who have not.
Many of them will not go back and they won't find them. But thankfully, sometimes criminals, in some cases, will always be criminals. So they'll go and commit another crime again and they'll be rearrested. All right, I think that's it for the headlines in the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Let's do the Daily Guide now. And coup plotters cry over soldiers in court. Do you remember, so the names here, Dr. Frederick Yao-Makpalm, you remember him? And then ACP Agojo.
Oh, yeah.
We're actually beginning to, after a while, you sort of sometimes forget that maybe these cases are still pending, they still exist.
Yeah.
But some lawyers for these persons have alleged, who were alleged to have conspired to overthrow the Akufo-Addo-led NPP government, have expressed worry about the presence of uniformed military personnel in the courtroom whenever the case is called. Eric Bongo, who held the brief of Victor Adawudu, who is counsel for six of the persons accused, told the court that it was unnecessary for the military officers to be in the courtroom, especially when the accused persons had all been granted bail by the court. He added that the military officers are not witnesses in the matter and said he did not see the need for their presence in the courtroom on every trial day. But the judge of the court intervened. This is Justice Samuel Esiedu, a Court of Appeal judge sitting with additional responsibilities. And he intervened that he did not know whether it was the protocol of the military that whenever one of theirs is on trial in a civilian court, such an officer ought to be escorted by an officer of his rank. He added that it could only be a sign of respect being accorded to Colonel Gameli by allowing a senior military officer of his rank to escort him to court. So a lot of issues arising from that one, but the case is still alive and in court. There's a bit of an artistic impression, as is usual with the Daily Guide, and it's all about Osagyefo's ultimatum. You were talking about Shito yesterday. So, Tugby Shito, bring the old lady who cares, or that's how it's animated there. There's also 2020 election effectively organized according to the EU. That's on page 3. And the European Union Election Observer Mission, like we've now come to hear, in 2020 has said that the December presidential and parliamentary elections were effectively organized with voters participating freely and in large numbers. Chief Observer Javier Nart, a member of the European Parliament from Spain, who presented his final report on the general election, said, although the elections were free and fair, some shortcomings already identified by previous EU election observer missions remained. And just to touch on them, the abuse of or misuse of state resources, abuse of incumbency, vote buying, all of these, he said, were present. And that is that. How we deal with them ahead of our next election, well, it's up to all of us. When you go to the center spread of the paper, Nigerians, Ghanaians react to Twitter opening office in Ghana. There's this Nigerian who has penned a lengthy piece about how Ghana is eating up Nigeria's lunch in many ways. Have you seen that piece? Okay, so it's a very interesting one, and he's saying that, look, the after coming to Ghana, the Twitter HQ coming to Ghana, all of that is Ghana benefiting at the expense of Nigeria and all of that. In fact, Twitter even coming here was partly leveraged on the after being here. But I don't know whether it should be antagonistic. It should be competitive, yes, but antagonistic, I don't know, because when you read it, you feel a bit of bile rising in this person's throat.
Let me tell you what will put bread and butter on our table, still related to the story. There are some job opportunities. Forget about the fact that the Twitter office is not in Nigeria or whatever, whoever is saying anything about it. But remember that there are job opportunities, that's analysts, identity operations, curation deputy lead. They're looking for senior researcher, global participation. So go online and find out the positions and apply. If this is your area and looking for a job, and let those who are unhappy that the office is in Ghana keep talking and going on and on and on.
Okay, so that's let's look out for the opportunities, most definitely. And then on the back page, Kotoko needs 6 weeks to jail, says Barreto. 2 referees marry, Howard Webb and Bibiana Steinhaus. And this is interesting because Webb, back in the day, it was said that whenever he refereed Manchester United matches, Manchester United...
Was it 2 referees marry, like a man and a woman, or a man and a man?
No, a man and a woman. So Howard Webb and Bibiana Steinhaus. Male referee, female referee.
You get my confusion, right?
Yes, I do. I do. And they made the most of the latest international break to tie the knot, with Steinhaus still working as a video assistant referee in the Bundesliga. So she is in the German league. And of course, Howard Webb was in the English Premier League. So that is it. PSG joins Kane chase. And PSG yesterday, of course, qualifying at the expense of Bayern Munich, who netted a goal against them. Let's check out some other papers.
This is the Republic Press newspaper. There's a story that I've been looking closely at because I got a video of police raiding a certain shrine or a place where somebody carried out either doubling of money or making people's dreams come true, and they found some fake currencies in there. So I'm not sure if this is related, but it says Fetish priest in court for dealing in fake money. Ghana to start production of COVID-19 vaccines soon. The banner headline, confusion rocks energy sector, Gridco buoy on collision course. So this has to do with Gridco saying not too long ago that buoy has shut down, and the boss at buoy, Fred Owari, in an interaction with our presidential correspondent, Elton Broby, said flatly that the Gridco boss didn't tell us the truth and misled the minister in the process, and that they are actually working, not to full capacity, but they are actually working.
And that they have even indicated that, owing to certain challenges, they wouldn't be able to operate at full pelt, to full capacity, but that they have been in operation.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, the sort of confusion going on in the sector.
Yeah. If you listen to persons who have very good knowledge in this area, They say that production is not even our issue. So the issue of whether Bui is working or not does not even come into the equation. Our problem is the fact that we don't have the grid infrastructure to distribute the power that's generated. That really is the problem. Some people have also said that Gridco is not even spelling out, telling us their challenges, so we don't even know how to advocate for the problems to be fixed. So this is a back and forth that's going on with the people who generate the power, either generate the power or, carry what is generated. The question we are asking is, where is the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority? Because we don't know what the issue is, but we need to understand. Because whilst the big people fight or go back and forth with the issue, we're still experiencing either the low voltage or power cuts. And the manufacturing plants are really suffering. They are. Except that they're not talking, but the impacts in the industrial sector is great. If you go to the Spintex, the enclave where we've marked as either light or heavy industrial area, they're really suffering. Sometimes a whole production line could go waste because in the middle of it, if there is a blackout, everything would just go wrong. So whilst they go back and forth in terms of whether you're generating or you're not generating, we actually have a bigger problem, and we need to understand it so we can see how we can advocate for them to get help.
In recent days, we've been hearing of men lie, women cry. I guess in this one, it will be the big men fight, we suffer the plight.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but we really need to do something about this, because I'm not looking forward to... Yesterday, I was just, being funny on social media, and I posted that, look, my lights hadn't gone off in quite a while, but that had got me worried, because I was afraid that when Yanum finally zeroed in on my hood and started doing their thing, Charlie, it would not be funny at all.
Well, meanwhile, ECG is the ECG workers want the MD immediately removed.
Oh, yeah.
They say he has or he doesn't have vision. He lacks vision. He's actually done a few things, and these are all allegations that they are making. Breaches in procurements. MD lacks appreciation of his duties, for instance. He bypasses laid-down processes, and they're also raising issues of non-payments of legitimate deductions. So they've given the board up to Friday, April 23, to get the MD out, or they shall advise themselves. So whilst the generators and the grid carriers are doing their banter, there's also the ECG workers who also claim that they have a very incompetent managing director. That's the allegation, and they want him out.
For them, there's a string of issues that have culminated in this decision. But we really need to get into the matter, because sometimes you could also be a victim of a system, and we'll find out how things pan out.
The other flip side is that MPP and NDC have also involved themselves in the Dumso issue. So it's
when you say they've involved themselves, how exactly do you mean?
Oh, NDC says that it is Dumso. See, they didn't want to tell us. Now we're experiencing it. Now they are fighting up there. What I mean is they've added their voices to it. And so it's become a typical political matter, whilst the CEOs, the two CEOs, also have their various views. And then, of course, the ECG workers. What it is that this doesn't fix our problem, does it?
And that's what I was about to get to. It shouldn't be about political colorations. You can expect that if the MPP is in power and the NDC is in the opposition, the music would be this way, and if it's the reverse, it would be a similar way. But the point is, if you don't have light, I don't have light. In our lives, that is doom. It's as simple. Fix it. Anyway. Oh,
the fetish priest, Koforidua Circuit Court, presided over by Mrs. Mercy Adekote, has granted bail to a fetish priest in the sum of 150,000 Ghana cedis with two sureties, one to be justified by possessing fake money and defrauding by false pretense. Richard Vomawo is his name, 43, popularly known as Nana Buame. He pleaded not guilty to the charge of preparation to commit crime. And there are other charges. You can read the story if you're interested.
Well, the headlines in the other papers are very similar to what we've done already. But if you're done with your headlines, I'll just do one story. from the middle spread of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. 1D1F creates 139,000 jobs with 76 companies operating under the initiative. And the president yesterday inaugurated a steel manufacturing company at Prampram in the Greater Accra region under the government's One District, One Factory initiative. Like you were mentioning, the B5 Plus Steel Manufacturing Company, which currently employs over 1,000 workers, is expected to produce steel for both the Ghanaian and West African markets. So when the bad things happen, we talk about them. This is a good one as well, and we ought to highlight it. And your Pokwasi interchange, I say your because it's one that we're very interested in. It's going to be completed by June, all of that in the middle spread of the paper. Anything before sports?
Osafo appointed senior presidential advisor to President Kufuor.
Are you sure you want to bring that up at this point in time?
I'm not discussing it. You said any other thing, so this is just a quick headline before we take a breather for sports.
Some people are asking so many questions, but we'll leave it there. A very happy birthday to Sharon Day. God richly bless you, and we pray for the very best for you. Happy birthday, Sharon. It's time now for sports. Let's get to it.